This is Everyday Expertise, and I'm Angela. And I'm here with Constance Harvey. She is a freelance illustrator and graphic designer. She's also the chief editor of a new French language entertainment website called lapizza. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. So, Constance, how did you start out in illustration and graphic design?
Well, my path changed a lot. I first started by doing media arts in Cégep de Jonquière. So I studied radio hosting and production, and I actually really wanted to be a comedian. And while I was there, I realized that it was gonna be really, really hard because radio was kind of falling apart, and we didn't have podcasts back then, so we didn't know that there would be like this alternative to radio later on. So I was like, well, there's absolutely no reason for me to stay in that field because I'm never gonna be able to get a job. And I remember then when I was in Cégep in Jonquière, everybody was just, well, have you ever thought about doing graphic design or illustration? Because I was doing graphic design for all the ads for the radio. I was doing the caricatures in the school newspaper. I was working like everything that had visual in it. I was always asked to work on it. So I was like, well, maybe I should go in that field because everybody tells me that I should go in there. So I decided to do graphic design in Cégep de Sainte-Foy. And when I was there, there was this new project, an illustration profile, and they would pick like each year, three students that would work especially just in illustration. And then they would have like their internship also in illustration. So that's what I did, and I got accepted, and I did the profile, and I ended up finishing in 2011. And I've been working as an illustrator and a graphic designer since.
That's pretty cool. So what are your preferred mediums for illustration? I guess for art, really.
Well, I work digital exclusively, and I've discovered in 2014 Clip Studio Paint. And it's my all-time favorite app. I'm just not using anything else anymore. Even if I have, well, sometimes like the requirement is to use Illustrator. Then I'll use Illustrator. But if I have if it's on my own free will, I'm gonna go with Clip Studio Paint. I really love it. It's just like the way the strokes, when you work on inking, everything is just sharp. It's not the same feeling on on Photoshop, for example, when you do like a stroke. It's gonna be like you feel like, how can I say that? It's too sensitive. Yeah. So you would get like a little distress line when you get like close up to it, and when you do that on Clip Studio Paint, it just a very sharp.
It's like it feels like you're drawing like on paper.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I use, and I also got myself a new tablet. It's the Wacom Mobile Studio. So it's the one I can actually carry with me. So since I'm gonna travel a lot next year, I decided to be a little
to
more
invest.
and be mobile.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. How would you say your illustration work differs from your graphic design work? Is there a difference?
Well, as a graphic designer, I would say that I'm more like executing tasks. It's not as creative than when I'm being asked for illustrations. Like people, when I do illustration, consider me as an artist. When clients consider me for for graphic design, I'm a graphic designer.
Yeah.
I am doing what they're asking me to do. So that's the difference. And I also don't see myself as creative as a graphic designer than illustration, because I always wanted to do illustration. That was my field.
Because it's more corporate. It's more.
Well, but I love it. But it's like the marketing thing. Like it's the marketing phase that I like. It's the way that I have to find an idea, the way that I have to brainstorm to come up with something. That's the part I like. So most of the time, that's where I get my creative side. But if my client decide that they already been there and they're just like, well, can you do this for me? Then that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
So yeah, it really depends of who's asking me.
That makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
Do you have any particular influences in your work? Who would you say inspired you
I would
or
say
inspire
that
your work?
at first, when I was a kid, I would say that maybe Charles Schulz, the creator of Peanuts.
Yeah.
I really love the style, and it's something like growing up that I really enjoyed. That he was kind of like naive, but at the same time really, 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 really smart, and that's the kind of thing I would like to be able to do later in life.
Yeah.
Like to have like this kind of, you know, those characters that people really love, and you don't feel like, even, well, today now it's another thing that they kind of sold out. Like we kind of see them everywhere, and we have like, but
I think that's because he's no longer with us, and his estate basically is control of the characters.
definitely. But I was comparing it to Jim Davis, who is just like purely doing this for, you know, corporate reasons. But yeah, the thing with Schultz is that he had this heart in his stuff, and I really loved it. Also, well, I was a big Sailor Moon fan as a kid, so there's a bit of anime in my style, but not too much because I feel like it's maybe overdone. I'm trying to find my own style, you know. And also there was this it's I'm trying to figure it out. It's like, you know, the cartoons from the 80s, like the old Ghostbusters cartoons.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of my style. Like I feel like it's kind of lost. We don't see that anymore. That kind of it's like American but highly influenced by the Japanese. And it gives that kind of style, and I realized when I was rewatching like some clips of the real Ghostbusters, I would go, oh my god, that's how I draw. That's my style. And yeah, that's kind of how I see it.
You know, influenced you subconsciously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a big influence as a kid.
What about francophone, like bande dessinée?
Well, yeah, I used to drink a lot. Well, drink. Wow, okay. I used to read a lot of, well, yeah, the Belgian bande dessinée, like maybe, well, I was a fan of Spirou, like a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, during the Tom and Jerry era. A bit of Franquin era, but more like the one when they started to have like those kind of like thriller stories, and it was getting a bit darker. I really liked that era. And yes, Spirou has been a big influence on me, but as like I would say like brushstroke wise, not as much.
Oh, okay.
It's just I like to read them. I like to watch the image. Like I really that's something I really hate, the American comics. Like Marvel and DC.
Yeah.
I love the universe, I love the stories, I love the characters. I can't stand the drawings. I hate them. Like most of the time I'm just like, oh, this is ugly. You feel like they have to work under pressure and really, really fast. And the coloring is a bit butchy, and everything is just like weird, and I just like how can I say that, the proportions, like everybody's just so muscular, and it's kind of awful. Like,
it's gotten even more since the 90s, and you had like the Jim Lees and and these people who brought in that like hyper muscular
exactly
figures,
and it terrified me. So story wise I like, you know, the American comics, but I never ever read them. I just don't like it. It's not an inspiration for me. So I kind of like how it's going today with the fan arts, because everybody's doing their own version of their favorite character, and some fan artist becomes, you know, guest artists for comics and stuff like that, and then we see some change, and then we see some other input to it, and I really like it. So yeah.
That's cool. All right, so this show is very much about process. So can you walk me through, I guess, the process for an illustration project, like from beginning to finished?
Okay. Let's see. Well, since it depends of if it's a personal project or if it's a request from somebody, I would go with something personal, just because it's easier to. Because when I work on something, I kind of prefer it, so it's always end up getting better than if somebody just requested me. So, well, at first it's just like it starts with an idea, and I usually, well, since I just work digital now, just start with kind of a skeleton of what I'm gonna do. So it's like I'm doing like a circle for the head. I'm just gonna work how the body of the character, because I'm doing mostly characters. I'm not a fan of big elaborated backgrounds. So usually it's just like a pause or something like or a bunch of characters interacting together.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna figure out where to put them in the image. And I usually I work like animator, so I'm just gonna take a color. So I'm just gonna do for example, my character's in green. Then I do I refine it a bit. So now I'm gonna draw, still sketching, where the eyes are gonna be, how the face is gonna end up looking. And then I'm doing another layer on top, and then I start inking. Usually, the inking is going pretty fast because, well, my sketch is usually pretty detailed. After that, I do the color. And the fun thing with Clip Studio Paint, the thing you couldn't do with Photoshop, is because in Photoshop you had to, outline everything and then fill it and then correct where you had like those little pixels going on. When you use Clip Studio Paint, you just use the bucket. You click with the bucket and it fits the area.
Okay,
so it goes super fast. So when you have like hair and you have like each strand of hair separately, you just go with your bucket and you just go over them, all of them, and they all fill.
Yeah.
And then it's
And it's that precise, like.
Well, yeah. Sometimes you just have like maybe like 2 or 3 lost pixels that you have to fill instead of like the whole image. So yeah, there's a lot of.
That's good.
Yeah, it's incredible the time I'm winning doing this. It's like something that would usually back in the day take me like 7 hours. I can do it like in one. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
And then, well, if I'm glad of the colors, I'm gonna keep it like that. But sometimes I like to transfer it to Photoshop and try some effects. And because, well, yeah, there's a lot more effects on Photoshop because it's a photo app.
Of course.
So, so I'm gonna like retouch a bit the image and then it's done. I save it and usually I drop it on my Facebook at first. Yeah, because I used to be on DeviantArt, but it's not like it used to be. Like people, internet changed a lot in the past 15 years.
Well, a lot of it is just mobile now. I think.
Well, yeah.
You have more people probably on Facebook or on Instagram.
It's easier to reach somebody on Facebook because people don't, ask you to be filled with information. Because in DeviantArt you had to go to the page to see the stuff.
That's true.
And now it just shows up on your feed.
You had to know who you were looking for.
Yeah.
I haven't been to DeviantArt in so long. That really like takes you back. It's like
it's great.
DeviantArt, like Elfwood, all these places.
I remembered I've talked to a friend maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about the fact that we met on LiveJournal. And like a lot of friends from the LiveJournal era, I still talk to them, and it's remember we met on LiveJournal? You know that the Russians own them now?
That's like saying you met on MySpace.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. Yeah, the time slot, it's pretty similar. It was like around 2007, yeah.
Okay, so also you recently launched the website I mentioned in the beginning, La Pizza.
Yeah.
So what is La Pizza?
So La Pizza is basically a comedy website. It's a comedy web magazine. So imagine BuzzFeed, but with interesting content, but funny. It's like I describe it more like a mix of BuzzFeed and Crack.com.
Okay.
Well, Crack.com because they just like laid off everybody last year or something like that, and they turned off their video content. But it was like nobody produced anything for Cracked anymore. It's just like some random author that they.
That's awful.
Yeah, they fired pretty much everybody. But they got better jobs now. Oh yeah, one of them is writes for John Oliver today, so it's amazing.
Okay, well then there you go. Sometimes things just work out.
Exactly. But yeah, I used to be a big fan of Cracked. And I was like, well, there's no content similar to that in Quebec. There's so much resource for that. I mean, everybody comes from l'École nationale de l'humour. Everybody's knows comedy. Everybody has skills for that. And also I know a lot of illustrators. I know a lot of people who do comics who are actually really funny. And I was like, well, there's no space for them. Because the only place where you could, do that kind of, funny, funny thoughts on something. You had Urbania, Nightlife magazine. Narcity Montreal blog, not so much. It's more sponsored content.
Yeah.
And I realized that also, well, the fact with Urbania is that it's really hard to write for them. They only have a select number of authors. And they tend to go to the Tales of Depression story or something that would, make people react. So negative comments and stuff like that. So I was like, well, I want something friendly. I want something funny. I want something smart. I really want everybody to learn something at the end of an article. It could be just a random fun fact, but at the end they're like, oh, I learned something today. And sorry, digesting a bit. And yeah, so I thought about that for like 3 years. And for 3 years, I was like, I want my French version of Cracked. I want my Cracked BuzzFeed thing. And when I was working in an agency, and I didn't really like my job. And I was talking to one of my workmates there, Melody, who was working with me on lapizza. I was like, well, I have this idea for like 3 years. Would you like to join me to kickstart this? And she said yes. And I thought about asking my boyfriend about it, and he said, well, that's really smart. You should do that. And I realized that every time I was just talking about the project, it was just like, just a bit, I was thinking of doing this website. It was kind of like Crack, kind of like BuzzFeed. And they were like, oh my God, that's so smart. Do that. I was like, okay. So after a year, we released it. And I got about maybe 20 authors. And well, since it's voluntary based, nobody's paid for that for now.
One day,
we're trying to find sponsors. We're trying to find ways to get more content, like video content and everything that could end up having like AdSense being add to it and just like grow and finally being able to get to pay our authors. That's our goal. We just want to be able to get a paycheck for people at the end. So
it's not easy.
No, it's not easy at all because oh boy. There's so much requirement for AdSense. It's crazy. So for now we're at this stage where everybody who's willing to write for us and fits the pattern is welcome. And we don't have any pressure, so you don't have to do like a post per week or a post per month. Just I want to publish 2 articles per week minimum. That's my only requirement for now. Then when it's gonna be bigger, we're gonna make it a little more often. But for now it works really well.
Mm-hmm.
We have a bunch of quiz, silly quiz and stuff like that. We're trying to be more close to, Quebec's pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
So we go with, the TV shows people grew up with, and the music people would recognize. I want to go also look for the archives, old movies that people completely forgot. So we want timeless content. We want somebody who, reads an article who has been written in February, and if he reads it in June, it still makes sense.
Good, yeah.
So yeah, no new release, no critics of movie that just came up. Just we go with the flow, and we try to teach people new stuff and have fun and be funny.
So how is it divided up, your website?
Well, we have a few sections. So we have history and politics. We have science, technology, music, TV, movies, pop culture. We have inusité. I don't know how we translate that.
I guess probably just like I guess just like fun,
Random
things, yeah.
So probably. We have inusité, and we have what else? Well, we're gonna have a video section later. And
you have some comics on it yet?
Yeah, comics. I have for now just my own comic, but I also have Valmo, who's a fantastic artist who wants to do comic as well. Also have my best friend Yacine Marceau, who wants to do more like a illustration with a caption under it, and also he wants to illustrate, like if we want articles to talk about a subject and we're like, oh, I would like to have an illustration for that to explain my thing I'm describing, so he's available for that as well. So yeah, we have like a bunch of authors, we have a bunch of writers, we have a lot of people who studied comedy. So yeah, I'm really glad of the team we have so far. I really love it.
Have you seen yet any idea of the reception, views?
Well, we did a quiz on Passepartout and it went viral.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so the day came up. I think the first week we had like around 250 views per day. So including all the articles and all, and we got a lot of shares on the Passepartout quiz. And
Québécois love their Passepartout.
Oh yeah, they do. So yeah, we know that the quiz are really popular. We know that I just released an article this week about Halloween candy, and yeah, it's already like getting shared a lot because people relate to this.
Yeah.
So anything that is
that's what you need, is relatable stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I really love it. I love the reception because I see like all my high school friends that I didn't talk much with them, and now they share my stuff, and I'm like, do they know it's me? Is this why they share it? Because they saw my name, or is it just because
it's good?
It's just because they saw it on Facebook somewhere and they just ended up sharing it.
That's great.
Yeah. I love it.
So the website is in French. You already talked a little about how you noticed this sort of thing was not available in French.
Yeah.
So is that why you decided to make the website in French, and why you think it's important to have
it? There's just so many
in
content
the French to be trying to go into the French market.
Well, it's just so many content in English. So it's too easy to find something in English.
Yeah.
Every time I'm looking for, entertainment, every time I'm looking for an answer, going to Wikipedia, I'm gonna get my answer, even when it's something like in French, even if it's something about a politician in Quebec, I'm gonna get more information about that in the English Wikipedia. So I was like, well, that's a problem. Like I always get like older people, like for example my mother or my roommate, because I live with a 65-year-old roommate right now, and she's always like, I can't find anything online, and she Googles something, she goes it in French, and she doesn't get any answer. So usually I do the same thing, I just change the keywords to English, and then
to phrase everything, right?
Yeah. So I was like, well, I want those people and, people in regions a little further. I'm from Saint-Jean-Port-Joli.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be the only one who was speaking English in the region. Like, I got really good jobs because they were like, oh, well, you're bilingual. Yeah. And, but I remember that, yeah, people don't stream as much there. People don't use Amazon as much. People don't, because they just don't master the language.
Right.
So they rather go to something in French. So I want to give something for them.
Yeah.
So, because yeah, that's where I come from, and I feel like everybody deserves to have fun, entertainment, and yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. Do you think you will make any like bilingual content later on, or are you gonna stick with French?
Well, that would be for my personal stuff.
Yeah.
So my illustrations, I usually release a comic in English and in French. I usually do the translation on the same day, so you get like I sponsor, like I boost a post in English and then I send it to the US and the UK, and then I sponsor in French and then I do it Quebec, France. So that's usually what I do, and I get reception. In English, it's really like I get a lot of reaction in English. People, you see that people are more on Facebook. They're more present online when they speak English. So I get a lot of feedback in English when I release something. When I boost something in French, it's a little slower.
Yeah.
Sometimes I will get like maybe a 16-year-old from Paris, and then she will be like, "Oh, I really liked it," but it's like usually in French it doesn't get as much reaction.
Yeah.
But in English it's always big. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm gonna keep doing that. My for la pizza now it's just gonna be in French.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So, what is something you wish you'd known about art before you started on this journey?
I've been kind of lucky. My father is a sculptor, so everything that had to do with living your life, with waiting for clients to get your check by the mail, and it's always like fetching for money. That I kind of got it because my dad was already struggling with that, because he always had clients that would take months to pay him. He even got some of his art stolen, and even recently. So it's a problem with art, is that something that you always people always take advantage of you.
Yeah.
So that's something I got, and I'm really, really lucky. But the thing that nobody told me is that everybody would tell you that how can I say that, it's not a real job.
Yeah.
Because I get a lot of feedback from people like, well, maybe you should get a part-time job.
Yeah.
Maybe you should find something else. Maybe you shouldn't live of your art because you're struggling right now. Maybe you should get a job to a grocery store or something.
Right.
So, no,
Like,
because every hour I'm spending as a cashier somewhere, it's hours I'm not spending doing
on your work, yeah.
Yeah. So I gave everything up and I started freelancing this year, and yeah, it's been great.
That's good.
Yeah. So I don't see any advice that, well, maybe like how to do my, my bookkeeping. Yeah, that's something maybe I should have, asked a little more questions.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's my first year, doing tax reports and stuff like that. So it's like, oh my God, that's difficult.
That's when we get the accountant.
Yeah.
And you have to get an accountant who actually knows
great.
how to,
Mine's
do
name
an artist's accounts.
Yeah, mine's named Marc-André, and he specializes in freelancers, and he's amazing.
That's good. Okay. Also, what is something you wish you'd known about launching a website before you decided to do this? What surprised you?
When you think you know WordPress, it's not true. You don't know WordPress.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like I've been like working on the theme, and I decided to put it on the side for a year, so I lost my you have like I'm trying to find the word. The support.
Oh yeah.
I lost because you had a 1 year support when you buy the thing.
So you lost the tech support thing.
Yeah, so I couldn't ask anybody about anything.
Oh no.
So I was like, oh my god, why did I waste so much time on this? So the last month before, because I wanted to release it on October 5th. That was my goal. I was like, okay, no, enough. I need, a deadline, and this is my deadline. So October 5th, we released the set, but I couldn't, figure out, everything was just like glitching, and some people could log in, but then they couldn't post anything. And well, one thing is great is that my colleague Melody, she kind of knows WordPress a little more than me, so she just did a few things. She was like, oh, I reinstalled this thing and just click this thing here and it's fine. Everything.
And you were like, how did you do this?
Exactly. So yeah, I thought I knew WordPress, but no, it was a lie.
So the lesson here is make sure you get all the information you need.
Exactly.
And realize that you probably don't know everything.
Yeah, which is terribly my case. But it was fun. I mean, I really feel proud of myself because I never, released something this big. And now I'm trying to figure out, how to put the ads on and how to make them work. And it's, we still have to figure out like all this, the stats. But so far we're okay because we're not big yet. So if anything, if this site gets a lot bigger, then I'm gonna be able to hire real professionals to work, on an interface that looks all right and that's able to be secure and have like new members, and because I would like to have like a community, like forums and stuff like that, so people could actually like
but then you have to get moderators
exactly,
because that can be a big job.
So we're not doing that.
Not yet.
No, not yet.
Okay, how do you integrate your art into your daily life?
Well, it's my life. It's what I do every single day. Yeah, it's just like when it's not my job, it's my pastime. So it's just I just do that. Like, oh, okay, I'm on vacation. I should draw now. And yeah, I always have like this thing, but I don't doodle as much as before. I used to always have like my agenda with bunch of doodles in the corners, and when I was doing calls I was like drawing, and I had like all those line sheets full of amazing drawings, and I would just scan them and take off the lines, and I don't have time as much for that anymore because I do a lot of contracts. So I do inking for like another illustrator, so I do anything for a festival or something like that. So like, okay, could you do the poster for this thing? So now I don't create as much, but when I have the time, when I have some time off, I usually sit on my computer. I do the exact same thing as usual, but I work on a small comic, a 3-panel thing, and it's I kind of miss having paper and a pencil, but I always get I don't have, how can I say that? I don't have like drawing cravings. Not as much as before, so I feel like probably because my life is well balanced right now. It's just like I don't feel to escape as much as I used to, because that was the thing. I was working at night. I was doing reception in a hotel. That was boring. So I was spending like 8 hours with nobody talking to me, doing Tumblr and drawing. That was my nights all the time. And yeah, I was super creative back then because my job was so boring. But now my job is fun, so I don't create as much. But
I know the feeling.
Yeah, but I'm having fun. I have books coming up, and it's like it's not my stories, but I illustrated them, so it's fun.
It's partly yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you cope with like when you experience stress or obstacles in your artwork?
Oh boy.
Do you get block?
Well, I consider the fact that I'm not as creative as before, kind of like a block, because I don't come up with stuff that could be shared as much as before.
Yeah.
Because I used to do like fan arts and they would go viral, and people, like, I would do like a drawing, and then this celebrity I drew would share it, and then people would just like, oh my god, this is amazing, and then it would just like blow up. Now I don't have this anymore. It's just like I do my own thing. People like it. It's like, okay, get a 50 likes on something. Okay, it's fine. It's not but with stress, it's not like more like a block, but it's like it's physical pain.
Yeah.
Because I injured myself at my previous job.
Oh, okay.
But I feel like it's part injury, part really hating my job. I feel like it's like my body told me, well, you're not gonna call sick, you're not gonna do a burnout, so we rather like have you stop. And then my body just decided that it should get like a tendonitis or something. So my hand, I couldn't draw anymore. I couldn't drive. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't hold a mouse because it was too much mouse that made my injury.
Yeah.
So I stopped for 4 months. And then I had to like start slowly. So I asked my doctor if it was possible to just quit my job, and he said, okay, I'm gonna tell you that you're not able to work anymore with a mouse. And well, since it's basically your job, I was doing graphic design, so they're gonna have to let you go.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. So I came up with my little paper. I said, oh, sorry, I can't work anymore. And it's been kind of hard because now I'm freelancing. And, I realized that it was really stressed. Because when I left the job, I got a contract that was pretty much the same amount of hours.
Okay.
But I didn't have any pain anymore. And I wasn't using the mouse as much. I was working with my tablet. I was doing illustrations. I was doing, other stuff than just basic same thing. Put the logo on the right corner, the down corner on the right, and it was always the same repetitive move. And I realized that when I'm creative, when I'm doing what I like, when I work for clients that I picked, and I said, yes, I want to work with you, then I don't feel the pain anymore. And I realized that every time I'm a bit stressed, so when I had a deadline with a client, or when I had like something that I really didn't really like, it started hurting again.
Oh, yeah.
So stress just makes me stop working. So that's how I cope. I mean, if I have to get something I like
your
to
body
work
just
on.
says no, stop.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's good. And then you recharge, I guess.
Well, you have to listen to your body. That's what I say to all my friends now, because every time I hear my friends be like, oh, I don't feel like I belong to this job, and listen to your body. The body will tell you if you deserve this job or not.
Yeah. So okay, what is your favorite aspect of illustration? What's your favorite thing about it?
It's fun.
It's fun.
It's because I always drew. It's something that I always been in my life. It's something that people always expected of me. Also, when I was in high school, I was the daughter of the sculptor. So people was like, well, you have to be good at drawing since your dad knows so well. And so it's just like it's me. It's what I am. So that's what I like about illustration. It's just like it's.
You're like your most yourself when you're
exactly.
when you're drawing,
because that's how I express myself. That's how I can tell people how I feel. That's how I can tell people how I think. If anger can make me draw, joy can make me draw, anything. It's always better to, when I like somebody, like when I started like dating my boyfriend, I was so madly in love. I was drawing him, and it was, it's like when you like somebody, it turns out looking really good. And when you, yeah, it's just, it's the best way to express myself. It's always been like that.
So what is your least favorite aspect? Is there anything that that frustrates you?
Oh my God. Okay. So I used to be on Fiverr, which is a website that you can ask. Well, you can give your service for $5 or more. $5 US. So when I was struggling, when I had like a really bad job and everything, I was like, well, I need more money. So I started doing Fiverr, and I was asking people, I can draw yourself as a Bob's Burgers character for $5 or more. And one of the authors of Bob's Burgers shared it.
Ooh.
And it went crazy viral. And people were just like requesting me Bob's Burgers all the time. But not themselves as Bob's Burgers. They were asking their dog. I had over like 50 requests of people asking me to draw their dogs or their family with the dogs, and there were always like more than one dog. It's just like 20 dogs. There's just like family dog people really, really, really want their dogs illustrated all the time. Cat people don't ask you drawings of their cats.
But like illustrated as Bob's Burgers characters?
As Bob's Burgers
dogs.
That's
a weird intersection of fandom there.
That's the weirdest thing is that when you watch Bob's Burgers and there are dogs, they're just like traced dogs. They don't look like Bob's Burgers version of dogs. It's just like they use a real picture of a pug and they would just add like, little dots instead of eyes. It's just like, it's not different than, that dog could be in The Simpsons and it would still be the same dog. It's just like they traced the dog.
Yeah, because the dog is not going to be important.
So it's just like that, the fact that people, and also the fact that the less expensive your services are, the more people are becoming like the shittiest customer ever. It's amazing how insanely mad those people can become because they're like, well, I paid $25 for my colored version of my 2 dogs. I deserve the best, version of my Bob's Burgers dogs you could ever ask me. It's like the spot near the eye is a little too big. Could you make it smaller? Just like, why are you asking so much details? You say Bob's Burgers dog. That's what I hate the most, is because every time I had to work for clients and I was doing like the friend price, I'll be like, okay, well, since you know my boyfriend, and I wanna, I'm not gonna charge you as much for the logo. I'm not gonna charge you as much for the portrait. And now they end up being like really shitty humans.
The really picky ones.
Oh yeah, no, it's terrible. So that's what I hate about illustration. People think they, since they're paying for a service that, you're required to do everything, or they're gonna ask like so many retouching. It's just like, well, you have a limit of three different, modification on the image. I'm at 5. I'm gonna have to charge you more for this, and they're like, no, I paid for this.
I don't want it until it's perfect.
No, exactly. So that's what I hate about it, because when I have a client paying me like the big money, they're the real price for my work, they usually don't ask anything more.
Yeah.
But every time I'm doing like, I'm doing a special commissions for $20, now people are getting really, really picky.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I like.
And they're probably the same people who wouldn't pay your regular price.
No, exactly. No, those are probably the people who usually buy their art at IKEA. But yeah, that. I don't do Fiverr anymore, so now I'm good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we've talked a lot, but do you have any more advice for people who want to start out in illustration?
Do it. That's my advice. It's really don't wait. You always have like people telling you, well, if you want to go freelance, you have to make sure to have like a certain amount in your bank account in case you don't have any more clients for for the dead months. But you always end up finding work. There's always somebody who needs your services. If it's not illustration, find you like another side talent, like graphic design. For me, when I don't do illustration, I do graphic design. I always have like something. There's always a gig. So don't wait, because that's what I was waiting. People were like, well, maybe you should have like $60,000 in your account. And I will never be able to have $60,000 in my account. So I will never
working
be
full time, you probably won't have that on your account.
Yeah,
anymore.
so even 20,000, that's I can't. That's a car. If I have $20,000 on me, it's because something wrong, because I'm really rich, because I never had that. But yeah, and don't wait to have a certain amount in your account. There's always ways to be able to make it. There are programs. So if people like want to do like administration program, something like that, so they register, and then they can still work on their stuff. They just have to attend school and stuff. And there's also like people who would just like be gladly like able to finance you, like Patreon and stuff like that. So there's ways to get your money. I did some GoFundMe campaign to get myself some material. So I wanted a printer and a scanner. I got it with a GoFundMe. So I was like, well, my goal is $900, and people just it took me like 3 months, but I ended up getting it because people are here. If people like what you do, they're gonna end up helping you reaching your goals, and they're gonna end up helping you and ask you stuff. Like, I have friends requesting me real big illustration gigs now. I do, because people start their business because they see that your business is going well. So like, well, maybe I should start my business as well. So yeah, I have people like working I have this guy who was working, decided to start his own garage. And he was like, well, I'm asking you to do my logo because since high school, I seen you do your stuff, and I was like, someday I'm gonna hire her to do something for my business. And he launched his business this year, and he asked me, So just make yourself visible. So make yourself available. So don't be afraid to, sponsors your posts on Facebook and do some, self-marketing. You can always like put this in your, your tax at the end of the year. So yeah, publicity is good. Do your own thing, and yeah, be nice to people.
It's important.
Yeah.
Because,
when you're not nice, you don't get customers.
When you're not nice, people remember that more than when you're nice, unfortunately.
Yeah, but you can also, like, if you don't like something, you don't have to do it. That's another advice, because I got so many things that got requested to me that they were against my beliefs. So, like, working for, there was, like, a gun club, and I'm against guns, so I'm not gonna do something. And they insisted, and were like, but we really, really want you to do our weekly comics about this. Like, even if you had, like, all the money in the world, I am not able to work on something, that doesn't share my beliefs. And I do not think that it's a good thing to own guns. So yeah, so
I should have just been like, no, you don't.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, be true to yourself, and be able to speak up when you don't want to do something. And yeah, self-promotion, amazing.
Do you have any advice for anyone who wants to launch their own websites?
This one is a little tougher. Yeah, just make sure you have a really good concept, because I've seen a lot of blogs and similar type of magazines just fail after a few months. And be sure that there is no competition. because when you get something that's too close to what you do, also you can have trouble. Like there's just so many websites about video games.
Oh yeah.
Like video game news. Like there's a lot of websites about that. So usually like you feel like probably like some of the articles can be copy paste from another website because they're all similar.
And they
so
might be.
yeah, they might
Nowadays,
be.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say that make sure that there's a market for what you do if you launch a website. Yeah.
Market research.
Yes.
Important.
Important.
Okay, so we're at the point where you can promote whatever you want to promote.
Okay.
So,
well, lapizza.ca. That's the website, and it's amazing. And we're gonna have soon a video section because I'm going to China because my boyfriend is currently teaching English there, and I'm gonna join him. So starting at the end of November, beginning of December, we're gonna start having vlogs, and probably also some other contents from our writers who are trying to find the magic concept for their videos as well. And well, what else? My Facebook page, Constance Harvey Illustration, and yeah, that's where I usually dump all my doodles when I do some.
Yeah.
And I also have like a Patreon, but I'm not using it for now. But when I'm gonna be able to figure this out, I'm gonna probably post the comics like a day or two prior the release.
Yeah.
And then if you become a patron, then you're gonna be able to see them before the others. And yeah, that's it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, Constance.
Well, thank you.
We will have links to everything we've talked about in the description of this video. So be sure to check out Constance and her work and her website. And thank you for watching. Bye. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this interview. Be sure to share this video with friends and colleagues who may also enjoy this topic. Let us know your thoughts by leaving a comment below or check the description for our social media. See you next time.